So today we are going to study about RAG. So this is one of the most important concept in this course and in general as well. So what is RAG? RAG is retrieval augmented generation. Okay. So first of all, what is RAG? Why do we need RAG? Okay. So if we talk about large language models, which we have been discussing for the last 6 or 7 sessions, there are particular things which are basically lacking in the LLM. So the first thing is the domain specific information. So since these LLMs are being trained on generic data which is there on the internet, Wikipedia, petabytes of data, so they are trained in general on everything. So they are not actually very domain specific. So if you ask any legal questions which is very much specific to a domain, legal or maybe some medical question, then it may not be able to answer you correctly because they have been trained on pretty much all the information in the world but at a very superficial level. So they know everything but they are not a specialist. Okay, so that domain specific knowledge is basically lacking in the case of LLMs. Second is real time information. In the science, these LLMs always have some cutoff date. Okay, so they have been trained on some data. The data is taken from internet, but once you train them, then you cannot keep on training them basically, right? So there is always a cutoff date or a knowledge date after which your LLM is not aware of what happened after that particular time because it's not being trained on the data after that date. So let's say I have LLM which has a cutoff date of 2023. So whatever which has happened after 2023, the LLM cannot give you that particular information. For that, what it has to do is it has to go to internet, which LLM cannot go. So real-time information cannot be provided by LLMs. Third is access to our personal information. Personal information in the sense, whatever I have in my Gmail box or whatever I have in my Notions, whatever private data I have, that information LLM doesn't know. Fourthly, access to the company's information, just like my personal information, the personal information of the company, right? Whatever the data which our companies are having as an as an employer, they have our own data, right? So they have their own policies, their rules, regulations, their SOPs on which your LLM is not being trained. So these are the cases where LLM cannot give you any answer or it will hallucinate. If you ask what is you know, the policy for the promotion in Birlasoft or in Infosys or in TCS, then it may not be able to answer. Maybe it will answer little bit, but that may not be correct. So in order to get rid of all these problems, there is a concept called RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So what does that mean is what we do is we create our own knowledge base. Okay, and then if you can see in the right hand side, right? So let me take highlighter. So for example, the question is, for example, the question is, how do I reset my device? Okay, so this is the question, and this is the database with information about the product. Okay, so if I simply ask this question to the LLM, so LLM may not know what device you are talking about. Okay, but if I have that private information or catalog information or my device information in a particular database, what will happen is that information according to my question will be retrieved from this database, and then my prompt to the LLM will be constructed in such a way that you are a customer service agent, answer the user's questions with the following context. This context is actually coming from my database. Okay, so this knowledge which is not there with the large language model is being taken from a vector database. This is the whole purpose of RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Means we are augmenting our large language model by retrieving some information externally. And then the generation means the final answer synthesis or the generation is done with the help of some information which is retrieved externally, and your LLM or the prompt is augmented by that information, then your final generation of the answer happens. Okay.
So,
Hmm.
Surint, here is query, one query. Actually, what I have seen some use cases
Mm-hmm.
with RAC, like HR data. If, for example, in the operations team, they
Mm-hmm.
have some SMACs and incident details for last
Mm-hmm.
3 years, and they have created their data and used the RAC to
Mm-hmm.
just create a one small application, and people are using in the office.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what is the best way to collect the data, like in CSV format or PDF format? What is the best way? What are industry using the data in RAC for like personal data in which format? I'm saying.
Yeah, right. So that data can be on different, I mean, places, right? So the data source can be anything. It can be your database, it can be S3, or it can be Google
No, no,
Cloud.
no. My query is
No,
data
no,
format. Data
huh,
format.
I'm coming to that.
Okay,
And
okay.
that the data can be on, can be in any source, and it can be in any format. It can be PDF or your PPTs, images, anywhere. So the data can lie anywhere in any format. What I need to do is I need to extract the information out of it. Okay, if it is a PPT, then also I need to extract the text which is there inside my PPT. The whole of those text will be put in my vector database then.
Okay. But there is
Okay,
any best recommendation, best practice to
no,
data
no.
format?
So if
Okay.
your data is very cleaned, I mean that is the best thing, right? If you have a very nice PDF, okay, text-based PDF where you can, so the PDF can also be of, I mean, two types, right? You may have some text, and sometimes people also make PDF out of images. So
Correct.
where you cannot search basically. So if you have text in the PDF format, then I think that is the best thing to have, because your extraction of the text will be very easier in that case. Okay, but that is something which is not in our control, right? So that depends on how that organization is keeping its data.
And one more thing, you said
Mm-hmm.
like this LLM models, for example, if we talk about OpenAI, so
Mm-hmm.
data was in 2023. But when
Mm.
Elon Musk introduced this Grok, and he was saying the Grok model update every per daily basis. So is it okay for, is it right? Is this new Grok model is the updated one on per daily basis, not
So
like a data old one like
yeah,
2023
I
for
mean,
OpenAI?
right. They may be updating the data on the daily basis, but end of the day, it may not have real-time information, right? Just like
Yes,
the
yes.
Google or
Mm,
internet has. Yeah.
mm, mm.
So yes, I
Okay.
mean that is possible, but not the real-time information. So it
Okay.
has two parts, retrieval and generation. Retrieval, as I said, it searches external sources like document database or the web for the relevant information. And second is generation. It then uses that retrieved information to enhance the language model's response, grounding it in real world up-to-date data. Okay. So this is the basic concept basically. So then RAG. So whenever mostly we talked about RAG, it is on unstructured data only, because the structured data or the tabular data is anyway in a kind, it's very structured, right? It's in the database already. So if I need to pull some records, then I can always create a SQL query and pull the records, right? So that is anyway not that problematic thing. But the RAG over unstructured data, whenever we talk about RAG, by default we mean unstructured data, means the data which is being scattered in different formats and different documents. So what can be the, so basically the documents can be in Word, it can be in HTML format, text format. This is basically semi-structured like CSV files. This is structured like in SQL databases. And this is like in the Gmail, Notion, Confluence. So your source of information or the data can be anything. It can be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. Okay. So what we do is, our first thing is to upload that particular data. In in order to upload that data, as I said, what you need to do is you need to extract the data. Okay, and you need to make it in numerical format. Okay, so when you convert your data or text into some numerical representation, so that your LLMs can actually understand, or I mean, machines cannot understand these normal text, right? Like unstructured, structured data. So they have to be converted into some numerical representation, that is called embedding. Okay, so we create the embedding out of our data, and finally we store it in our vector database. Okay, so this is the ingestion process, how to load your data. Okay, we have the data, We create the embedding out of it and we store it in the vector database. We'll talk more about it in detail, but at a high level, this is the first point. Unstructured data, the vector database stores the document as vectors then that capture meaning. Vector representation allow us to measure distance between the vector. So the vector database are some specialized databases which basically stores the embeddings. And what are embeddings? Embeddings are nothing but the vector representation of sentences or your text. They are like multi-dimensional vectors. And when we search anything in the vector database, what we are doing is we are actually searching whether the the text which we are searching, we are actually searching what is the closest sentence for that text in our vector database. Okay, so this will, it will become more clear in the next slide. Okay, is it clear? I mean, at a very high level.
Yes, Surendra.
All right. So the most important concept, as you have seen, is embedding. So embedding are what, let's say uh, earlier we used to represent x and y axis, right? This is x axis and this is y axis. Now, if I need to represent any point in the xy plane, what I need to do is I need to have some x coordinate. Okay, let's say it is 3, 2. So what I will do is I will say 1, 2, and 3, and this is on the y axis, it is 1 and 2. So this comes out to be this point. So what I will do is this is my vector, which represents 3, 2. Similarly, if I have any other point like 2, 5, then it will be something like this vector. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am representing a particular point in terms of vector. So this is like 2, 5. Similarly, what happens when we talk about this is in the, now we have three axes, x, y, and z. This is x, this is y, and this is my z. Okay, and so in order to put any point in the XYZ plane, what I need to do is these are all those points which are in the three-dimensional space. So now what happens in case of embeddings, for each word or each line of text, we create mathematical representations so that each of these points represents some vector or some piece of text basically. And how does that is being determined? That is being determined with the help of some machine learning models. There are some ML models like BERT or OpenAI's embedding model. Okay, I will show you on the OpenAI website what are the, so these models are different from LLMs. Okay, so these are called as embedding models. So they help us to create vectors out of the text. Okay, so I say if I give input this particular text to my embedding model, and I say like this is the part 1, this is the part 2, what it will do is it will create two vectors, one for this text, other for this piece of text, and that vector will be some point in the vector space like this one or this one. If they are very similar, then they are put close to each other. So the main concept is the semantically similar text or the vectors will be put closer to each other. Okay, so let me read out this. Embeddings are generated by using a machine learning model, typically a transformer based model like BERT or OpenAI embeddings. These models take a piece of text such as sentence, paragraph, document, and convert it into high dimensional numerical vector. Okay, so for example, this is a vector. This is a vector. Since these two vectors are very close to each other, that means they are very similar in meaning. Okay. And similarly, all these vectors are similar in meaning. Whatever sentences each of these vectors are representing, those sentences mean they are talking about same thing basically. For example, or let me read this one also. The model is trained such that pieces of text with similar meaning are mapped to similar region in the vector space. Okay, so in this three-dimensional space, these vectors basically means they are talking about same thing. They are semantically similar. Semantic means meaning wise they are similar. One is your text based search or keyword search, right? So if this is my whole content and if I am searching something like vector, then what it will do is it will say, okay, it has the word vector because it is matching VECTOR. This is called text based search. Or when we do a database search, when we find any row, that means it is actually searching the entire word on the basis of key. We say, right, where college is equal to ABC. That means it is searching that ABC. But in case of embeddings, what we are doing is we are actually searching on the basis of meaning of the word. Okay, let's say I have two sentences like the cat is sleeping and the other is a cat is taking a nap. So they essentially mean same thing, isn't it? Okay, so what will happen if I search anything like that? So these two vectors, like vectors for this sentence and the second vector for this sentence, they will be very close to each other in the vector space. आई कि नहीं बात समझ में? Okay, so what essentially we will do is whatever data we have, as I showed in the earlier slide, whatever data I will be having in these different documents, I will extract that text and I will create some chunks out of it, right? So this HTML page, when I extract text, that may be of 100 pages. So what I will do is I will split them into some chunks like 2 or 3 lines. So this is some 2 lines. This is again a 2 lines sentence, 2 line, 2 line, 2 line. Now, when I create vectors of all these chunks, the vectors or the sentences which are similar in meaning will be placed close to each other in this vector database. Okay? Why we are doing that? Because when someone will ask a question that I need to know what is the HR policy for the leaves, then my question will also be converted into a vector and it will be searched in this vector database, and all the sentences which are similar to my question will be retrieved and will be sent to LLM, right? So what we are doing here, database with information about the prompt retrieved based on the query. Okay, I will ask a question, how many standard leaves are there in Birlasoft? Then in this vector database, I will be having lot of data, and the data which is talking about leaves, that may be sick leave, personal leave, okay, they will be lying close to each other. So this question will also be converted into a vector and I will search, I will create that vector also. Let's say my question has become this vector, okay, on this space. Then what I will do is I will search what is the content, or I will search for the vectors which are very close to this my question vector. And that closeness is calculated with the help of theta, the angle between these vectors. Okay, cosine similarity or cos theta. Okay, so I will pull all the vectors which are closest to my question, maybe top 3, top 5, and I will take those things, those vectors or those text, and I will pass it to my LLM. समझ में आया कि नहीं आया guys?
Mm-hmm. So Surendra, behind this BERT and OpenAI embedding model, they are the like deep learning and neural network like a
Yes,
KNN and
yes,
these type of
yes, yes.
algorithm.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are also based transformer based.
Okay.
Okay, transformer based means they also have like uh encoder decoder kind of thing.
And per your like know your nearest neighbor algorithm, like you are
Right,
saying,
right.
na, the
Hmm.
nearest one. Okay.
Correct, correct. Okay, so this is all about embedding. So in real, in order to illustrate you, this was just, I mean, 3 dimensional. In real, it is like 1500 dimensions are there. So in that multi-dimensional vector space, your sentence or your chunk will be represented. Okay, so 1500 basically help us to locate it more precisely, right? So this, the 2 or 3 dimensional is only for illustration. Okay, in real, these basically embedding models are, when you choose a model in its specification, it will be written how many dimensions it has. It has 750 dimensions or 1500, maybe 3000. Okay, so that we need to see. Now, if we talk about RAG pipeline, which is like end to end, how does it look like? Okay, so this nice diagram, you can see So it has basically two parts, right? First of all is our ingestion. Whatever data we have to do what? We have to load it into our vector database, right? And second is my retrieval and generation. Second part is how to retrieve the most relevant part out of my vector database. First is to load the data. Second is to find the most relevant chunk out of the vector database. And third is how to generate the final answer. Okay. So these are three main parts. So we talked mostly about this, how to load the data. Let me reiterate. We have any source of data which can be in any format. Essentially, I have some loaders like PDF loader, HTML loader, docx loader. These loaders will help me to extract text out of these particular documents. Once I have the text, okay, this text can be very long, 100 page, 200 page, which I cannot directly feed into vector database, right? Or cannot feed directly to the LLM. So what I need to do is I need to create chunks out of it, small pieces. Okay, if I create just one vector out of the entire text, what will happen? Every time it will be selected, right? I want only precise information. If I create vector of these 100 or 1000 lines of code or thousand lines of text or maybe 100 pages of text, what will happen? I will not be able to search any precise text inside it, right? The entire, all those 100 pages will be represented by just one vector. Okay, and whenever I will search, let's say it's get selected as it is closest to my question vector, the entire text will be sent to my LLM again, which will again LLM will hallucinate because it has to find the right information out of this enormous text. So what we do is, in order to increase the I mean precision or accuracy, we create small chunks out of it. Okay, so that will also decrease my the total number of tokens which I finally send, right? If this chunk is small enough, then my cost will also be less, right? If this chunk is very heavy, it's like 100 pages, then first of all, my context window should support those many tokens. And even if it supports, it will be a extra cost. You will be charged based on the number of tokens. So I need to select some size of this chunk and I need to create smaller chunks of my text. Okay. So let's say out of these three texts, I have created these many chunks, and each chunk will then be converted into some numerical representation. So this numerical representation or embedding is what you can see 24623. What is this? Can anyone tell? What is this number?
Embedding.
This number is actually our coordinate, right? We talked about X and Y coordinate. So in the multi-dimensional embedding or vector space, what will happen? This is actually the value of one coordinate. So if my vector database is of 1500 dimension, such 1500 numbers will be generated by comma separated. Okay. Every sentence or every vector will have 1500 different coordinates, and all those coordinates will be there in its representation. Isn't it? Getting? For example, for this line, I have two values, X and Y, X comma Y. For three dimensional, I will have X comma Y comma Z. That can be 1 comma 2 comma 3. But if the number of dimensions are 1500, it will be like 2 comma 3 comma 4.2 comma 3.2 comma, right? Those different 1500 values. So like that, the vectors are or embeddings are created. They are put in my vector database. And now when the user asks any question, that question is also converted into embedding. Okay, using the same model which I used for creating embedding of my text. If I use a different model, what will happen? A different kind of embedding will be created, and then I cannot do similarity search, right? So this embedding model, which is being used to create the queries, should be same what I used earlier. So my question is also converted into some vector. This vector similarity search will happen in this database. I will say, okay, I could find these three vectors or the chunks which are very closest to my question. Those will be selected, and then the user question earlier which he asked along with these chunks will be sent to my LLM. saying that this is the context or this is the information which I have got and this is my question. Now you tell me what is the answer of this question. So earlier in the first slide we discussed, right? This LLM is lacking domain knowledge or it is lacking my personal knowledge or my company's data. Now it has access to my data. Now it can answer to my question precisely
So
instead of
Surendra,
using, yeah.
access to our data means only that chunk what is going with the user query, correct? Not the our whole vector database accessed by the LLM.
No, no, only this chunk which I'm sending as a part of my query. Only this chunk,
Okay.
right? So this is what
Uh,
we are sending in our prompt. This is our
So,
prompt. Hmm.
okay, in that case, for example, if we have like any data and our companies don't want to share that data over the LLM,
Hmm.
then is it okay that process when we implement like OpenAI and other things, and my company data is going with the user query there in the
Hmm.
LLM?
Hmm.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that will be a problem, right? So that's why we usually deploy the LLM in our own environment, right? We will have some AWS platform or Azure platform, our own account. Just
Okay,
give
so
me a second. I'm getting an call. Just a second.
hello, Surendra, I'm not able to listen you.
He got call. I think he's on mobile talking.
Okay, okay.
No, Surinder, you are not audible.
No, you are not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, now you are audible.
I don't know what happened with my headset. Okay, I just removed them. Is quality better? I mean, is it good
Mhm.
enough?
Yeah, good enough.
All right. So let me share my screen again. Yeah. So what I was saying is, if this is your company, okay, this is your company, Infosys, what will happen? You will have some Azure account for Infosys, okay, your own Azure account.
So, Surendra, in that case, we have a major, dependency on the cloud provider. We have to must have to use the cloud provider like AWS and Azure and
Mm-hmm.
GCP.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a major dependency with the only cloud computing provider, correct? We are not going
Yes.
to do the
It,
same in our environment, like we can just use the OpenAI keys and do these things,
exactly.
correct?
So if you can afford the hardware, if your company can afford the hardware, I mean that is the second choice. You deploy your
Okay, okay.
own on premises, on prem.
And what is the price difference if we are using the cloud computing or
See,
we are not using the cloud computing? Any major difference?
99, yeah, I mean 99% of the time people are using the cloud, right? Who will invest in these heavy infrastructures because inferencing, deploying these models on prem and inferencing them will have a lot of hardware cost. Okay.
Okay.
And we are actually not sure, the things are changing so fast that, you may have to switch the model from one model to other, right? There are a lot of
Mhm.
things getting changing on the daily basis. So everybody is using from these platforms. Someone is using GCP, someone is using Azure or AWS, whatever their organization policy is, right? So they are
Okay.
using those. Okay. So that way the information will not leak. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much from end to end.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do some hands-on. What we will do is we will implement a RAG system that works with unstructured documents. In this case, we will take a PDF file. This hands-on guide will take you through the process of loading. By the end of this lecture, load a PDF file using LangChain's PDF loader. Split the document into chunks for efficient retrieval. Create embeddings and store them in vector database and query the vector store and generate a response based on retrieval information. Okay. So let's start our hands-on. I hope you can see my screen still. Have you checked out Gemini and OpenAI's new release, which is where you can actually create images on 4O? That's actually very interesting.
Yes, Surendra. Nowadays, like those images are I able to see on Facebook. Lot of images.
Yeah, yeah. Just give me a second. So our first step is to install the required libraries. Okay. So what we are going to use, we will use Grok, LangChain, LangChain community. We will use Chroma vector database. Okay. So let me start. Vector database. We can use Quadrant. We can use Chroma DB. We can use Pinecone. Okay. We can use what else? Facebook similarity, FAISS. So all these are different vector databases. Embedding models, what we can use is we can use OpenAI. Okay, OpenAI has two models. One is small and other is large. Other than that, we can use some Hugging Face embedding models, okay, which are 100% free. And LLMs, you already know, we can use Grok or OpenAI or all these models. Okay, so I have installed
LangChain, we will be using LangChain, okay, as a framework. Clear the output. Let's go ahead. Second step is to install PyPDF. So PyPDF is basically a PDF loader. We talked about this one in our slide, right? We have different loaders. So if you go to OpenAI's website, it will have all these loaders, different loaders for different kind of formats, as you were asking, right? So we have to use different loaders in order to load those different kind of documents. So let me open LangChain. Go into documents. LangChain. How to conceptual. You have chat models, you have embedding models. Okay. So you can use any of these supported models. What happened? Multimodality. Document loaders. So you have like CSV loaders. If you have CSV as your input file, you can use CSV loader. I'm not getting the right documentation, maybe on how to. Let's talk about embedding models. Okay. So this is the key concept which we talked about, provides a way to measure similarity between your text. Okay. You have a document, you create embedding, you will get a vector, you have a similarity matrix. This is our question. That question is also converted into embedding. Now the similarity search between your knowledge base and your question will happen, and you will get the most similar vectors. Interface, measuring similarity, there are a couple of things: cosine similarity, Euclidean, dot products. These are different ways to find out the similarity. Okay, usually we use cosine similarity. Integrations, okay, that I was missing. Document loader, I can see if you want to load the document from web, Beautiful Soap, it uses URL lib or Beautiful Soap to load and parse HTML web pages. Okay, you just give the URL as an input and it will scrap that website and it will load the text which is there as your knowledge base. Unstructured. Okay, so this is also one of the popular library which is called unstructured.io. Okay. Unstructured.io. Okay, this is used to parse complex documents. So we have unstructured, recursive URL, sitemap, doclink. So these are different different loaders which you can use as per your requirement. If you have PDFs, you can use PyPDF, again unstructured, PDF plumber, PDF directory. If you have multiple files which are lying in a particular folder, you can use PyPDF directory. Okay, so what we are going to use is we are going to use PyPDF. Okay, so cloud provider based on the cloud as well. If your source documents are in AWS S3, then you can use this document loader and things like that. Okay, hope this is clear. If you have documents in the Google Drive, so there are a lot of integrations which LangChain has already done, and they give you a library which will help you to integrate with those document sources. We talked about vector stores. So vector stores are again specialized databases which can do semantic search and they store the data as vectors. You have Chroma database, Astra, Facebook AI similarity search, Elasticsearch Store, MongoDB, lot of Redis. All these are popular vector databases. We talked about embedding models. The main embedding models are OpenAI's embedding models, Azure, Google, AWS, Hugging Face, Olama, Cohere, Mistral. Mistral AI has launched one model which is very good at for image extraction, text extraction from image. Okay, Mistral AI, Nomic. So all these are different embedding models. For OpenAI, what we have? We have large and other is a small one. So this is the name of the model. So it also gives you code, right? So if you want to use, let's say Hugging Face, it will tell you what library you have to import or what piece of code you have to write. The model name is Sentence Transformer, all MPNet base v2. Okay, so everything is nicely documented here. If you ever have any requirement, come to the official website and explore. You will get answers for sure. Okay, so there is retrievers. We didn't talk about retriever. So retrievers, I will explain in the code. Retrievers are what? When you create the vector database, and from vector database, if you need to pull the relevant information, we convert those vector database into retrievers. So they are basically objects which help us to pull the information from vector database. Chat model. So everything is given in the this particular LangChain's documentation. Okay, so I am using PyPDF loader because my input source is a PDF file. Let me also browse my PDF file. So this is my PDF file which I have created, I think from OpenAI or maybe from Llama 3. What happened? It's not analyze your file. I don't want to analyze. Where is my file? Let me browse again. This is my file. Okay, I have uploaded one PDF file which we are going to load basically. And what next? Next step is to import our keys. So I will use my keys as usual. From my secret manager here in Google Colab. Guys, stop me if you're not able to understand at any point. So these are my keys, grant access, grant access.
So, Surendra, embedding model which we are using OpenAI, we have to use LLM OpenAI only.
No,
Uh,
not
you
necessarily.
can use Grok as well.
Yeah, you can use any. They're independent to each other.
Mm.
So
embedding model are different compared to LLM, correct? LLM is
correct,
different thing and embedding model is different.
correct. Let me go to OpenAI website if you are confused. So this is pricing. I have come to pricing. Explore detailed pricing. So if you see, these are text models, text tokens, latest models. All these are text models. These are models which can take audio, as these are fine-tuned models. These are built-in tune, web search, transcriptions. Where is embedding? other image generation embedding models. So these are the models which I was talking about. Text embedding small, text embedding large, and ADA model. So this is, I think, now deprecated. Not sure. This is the cheapest one, which we used to use earlier. Now everyone is going with these small or large. Okay. Or let me go to the models actually. The right place to explore the models. There you will see transcription embedding models. So if you go to small one, it will show you this is the speed, this is cost, where is the number of dimensions it has.
So, Surendra, you have costed for LLM model, and again we have to pay for embedding model.
No, I don't think. But
Achha.
yeah, I mean by subscribing or by recharging your account by
Hmm.
$5, you can actually use
Okay.
anything,
Hmm.
any model, basically any model. I'm actually
But this one in case of production applications, so they are the different pricing for if we are using the like RAG as well as like embedding model plus LLM also. So is it different pricing or how it works in
so
cost in?
that pricing can be different because we actually use, for example, if I am on Azure, so if I go
Mm-hmm.
to Azure and deploy any model, so that point of time also it basically shows the pricing and all. So that may differ because that includes, I mean, these models may have some collaboration with the cloud provider, right? So that
So
where
we
cost
can
is also
say
included.
in case of RAG we have the LLM cost plus embedding cost also. Correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm not able to find the number of dimensions. It should be 1000 or 1500, but why it is not mentioned? Compare it with text embedding small and text speed, inference, pricing, knowledge control. Don't know why they have not dimensions. $1536. Okay. And for large is 3072. All right. I think they are given. I don't. Anyway, okay, where we are. So imports are done. What next? Next is to load our PDF. If we browse our PDF, we can definitely find it. It's here in the left hand side. You can see my input PDF is right here. So this is the PDF. Now I am using my loader. Okay, so this is my PyPDF
Uh,
loader.
then in case of if we have too much PDF, like a number of PDFs or number of CSV files, then we'll go for the one by one like this, or we can
I
define
mean,
the like a.
either you can iterate in a loop or maybe you can use some other loader as I just shown you, right? So there is one PDF loader, which is for which you have to give the source folder, then it will iterate itself.
Okay.
Okay. So that depends basically. So what it has done is I have given the source PDF. This is my loader. Okay. It has loaded that file, loader.load. This is the doc I got. So if I see what is there inside my docs, or maybe first let me show you the PDF. Okay, so this is my PDF actually. Okay, my input PDF. Welcome to Saran AI AI Labs. This is about the AI Labs, where it is headquartered, what is our mission and vision, what are the employee benefits, health and wellness, learning and development, balance, what are the perks, employees code of conduct, onboarding process, company policies, working hours. All these informations are there, and it is of 4 pages. Okay, some contact information also. So this is my input PDF, and I have converted it into documents. So now if I see what is there in my first, or let's say what is its, if I say size, width, length. What it's right. It is of list type. So how to find the size of the list? Is it size or length? I think only length. Okay, so there are 4 documents being created. Okay, I had 4 pages. So what it has done, it has created 4 documents. And if I look into each one of these, they are indexed from 0. So if I see the first page, it is this one. So the object type is document. Okay, so the object type is our document. So within that document, what I have this metadata, producer, Microsoft Word, creator, date. For the source, this is my PDF name, total number of pages. So this is all metadata basically, okay, which are stored along with my content. What is my page content? This is my page content. So if I look into content, I will see welcome to AI Labs, page 1. I have this next line, next line. So formatting is the issue. Otherwise, if you read, if you see, it has all the contents which were there in my first page. Okay. So now my next task is to further break it down into smaller pieces or smaller chunks. For that, what I need to do, I need to use a splitter, which can split my document into. So there is something called recursive character text splitter. This is also from the LangChain. And I have given chunk size as 500. I'm saying the size of one chunk should be around 500 characters. And there should be chunk overlap of 100 characters. For example, let's say this is my first chunk. Then I want my second chunk to start from maybe this chunk minus 50 characters. Okay. So my next chunk will include from this much. Okay. So there is an overlap of 100 characters between my first and second chunk. Okay, so this is done so that my context of, whatever I am talking about in a particular chunk, that should be properly conveyed to my second chunk also. I mean, it should not be abruptly break in between the lines also. Let's say my 500 characters are completing here. If I abruptly create the second chunk right from then my second chunk may not have full meaning, right? Because it is not having the full sentence. So what I do is I do some overlapping so that the meaning of my chunk is retained, or whatever I was talking about maybe in the first chunk is also communicated to the second chunk. Okay, so I keep some overlap between all the chunks. So I have defined the size of chunk and the overlap, and this recursive text splitter is also coming from LangChain. Okay, so these are the libraries. I forgot to explain you. This is PyPDF loader coming from the third party LangChain community, Chroma database, OpenAI embedding, text splitters from the LangChain, output parsers, runnables, you already know. So I have created splits on the basis of this criteria. And once I create this instance, I will use the method split documents and I will provide these docs which I created. So now if I run this, now if I find the length of these splits, it should be less than 4 or greater than 4.
Greater than 4.
Yeah. So what it has done is it has created chunks. Roughly 3 chunks per splits. Let's see the first split. Now I have less content. Okay. Let's see the 5th one. Let's see the last one. It should have contact information. Okay. Email address and all those things. I think it is clear till now. What is my next step? If I go back to this particular, I took one PDF. I used PyPDF loader, extract the text. I also created chunks out of it. Now what I need to do? I need to vectorize it and put it in a vector database. That's my next step. Okay. Let's define the vector database. Chroma, I imported earlier using Chroma from documents is splits. Whatever I created, I am passing to my Chroma database. And I'm also telling it what embedding model it has to use. So there is a single method which will create the embeddings and load the embeddings into my vector database. Okay. If I want to use Hugging Face, then here I need to define the Hugging Face. Bracket model name equal to blah, blah, blah. Right now it's OpenAI embedding. If I don't pass the name of the embedding, I think by default it will take small. OpenAI's small embedding models. Okay, so it will use that model to create embeddings of these splits, 12 splits. So I have got my vector store created. Superb. Now what? Let's say, as I said, there is something.
Retrieve it.
Sorry?
Now retrieve, you need to retrieve it, na?
Exactly.
Further from the page.
So what I need to do is this vector store, I need to convert it into as a retriever. Okay, so there is a method called vector store as retriever. Now this retriever can basically help me to retrieve the text. For example, I can ask a simple question that what is Saran AI? Okay, if I run this one, print. Maybe response dot. Page contents are like, welcome to Saran AI, about Saran AI, founded with blah, 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 blah. Okay. So it is able to pull the information from my vector database. So this I was doing directly. What I'm doing is directly I'm using vector database and I'm giving it the query. But what we need to do is we need to basically plug in it with LLM. Where is my flow? At this point, we are at this point with retriever, I can pull the information. Okay. But I am directly giving my question. What I need to do is the user who asks this question, that should be sent to my vector database. Then I will receive the embeddings, which I need to pass to the LLM. So what I need to do, guys, I need to create what? In order to take my user's input, what I need to create?
Prompt.
Prompt template. Okay. I will create that chain, right, which we created a lot in the last sessions. So this is my chat prompt template. Okay, we have seen there are different ways to put it, right? So I'm using chat prompt template. This is my prompt, which is like you are an onboarding assistant for AI Saran Labs. So the idea is that in the PDF, I have written all the procedures or all the guidelines which a new joiner in a company, or once someone joins a particular company, he should be able to ask any question whenever he is onboarded to a new company. Then instead of going to the HR again and again asking how to apply the leaves, how many leaves I will get, what is the promotion policy, how should I get my password reset, where does the IT team sits, right? So instead you asking that question to the HR, what we have done is we are creating one onboarding bot which can solve all the queries of a newly onboarded employee. Okay, so as a prompt, what I'm saying, you are an onboarding assistant for Saran AI Labs. This is name of the company that answers questions based on the context. So now what is happening is my company is having a lot of policies, may have some HR policies, ethical policies, privacies, IT policies, okay, promotion policies, leave policies. So all those policy documents I will take and I will put it in my vector database so that users can ask the question, anything, related to the company's policies. So what I need to do is I need to pass that relevant piece of information or the context from my vector database after searching it along with the question, right? So this is what? This is my user question and chunk, isn't it? This is what I need to pass to the large language model. So I'm passing my context, which will come from my vector database, and my question also. Correct? Are you with me, guys? So this is how we create the prompt templates. Context will come from my vector database, based on my question. And once I get the context along with the question, I will be passing information to LLM to create the final answer. This is my prompt template. From template, I will pass the prompt. Okay, now what should be our next step? There is a small step to clean the documents which I get. Okay, so I have written one Python function which is format documents. It will basically do some cleaning of my retrieved documents. Okay, we were seeing, right, there are some they're a bit ugly, right? So in order to clean this mess, I'm using some Python function. Okay, in order to use the grok, this was left.
What does it do, this Python function? What you're using for
Python
cleaning?
function is basically I will show you. Just give me a moment. Let me write the code first, then I will show you. This is my, so I'm going to use grok, and this is my model name. After that, I need to create my chain. Okay. This is my chain, which I will explain you. And this is my question. Okay. So this is the format document. So this will do what? Whatever my retriever will pull, right? It may pull three relevant chunks. So what it will do is it will basically take those documents as an input and it will pull its page content, right? Each of these documents are having two elements basically, right? One is the metadata, second is the page content. We are interested in the page content. It will take the page content and it will join those chunks. Okay. And this I think is for adding double lines, right? Next line dot join. Okay, so if I get three chunks, it will join those three chunks, their page content basically. Is it clear? This next line,
Yeah.
it is adding or removing. I'm getting confused. Let me ask. Page content of each document. It then uses the join method to concatenate with the two lines between. Yeah, so it is actually adding. Okay, so it is just concatenating those three different chunks, and it is separating them by two lines. Okay,
Got it.
so this is my chain. This is important. I'm doing what? I'm using this runnable parallel. I have two runnables. One is the context. First is the retriever. So whenever I will ask any question, it will go to retriever. Retriever will do what? It will do some search and it will pull, let's say, three relevant chunks. Those chunks will be passed to my format document method and the output will be set in the context. Because my prompt is looking for two values, isn't it? Context and question. So the context will come from the retriever. The output will go to format documents and the format documents will, whatever the output of the format documents method will be there, it will be set to the context key. This is the dictionary basically, right? The value of context is set and I'm using runnable pass through. That means whatever question I'm putting here, it will be passed, it will be set to my question. This is key, this is value. This is key, this is value. So both the values, both the keys along with the dictionary will be passed to the prompt. Okay, now my prompt is having both these values. Now it can answer. My LLM will get this prompt. LLM will have, okay, this is my question. Tell me about Saran AI Labs, and this is the relevant context. Then it will be able to answer. The answer will be passed. Any question, guys? Okay, so let's run this one. So welcome to Saran AI Labs. Tell me about Saran AI Labs. Welcome to AI Labs. We are pioneering organization. Saran Lab, we have three main areas: building AI, researching. Mission is blah blah blah. Tell me contact information. HR department, email IDs, everything is there additionally. Okay, what else I can ask? Where is my PDF? I can ask any question. Attendance and leave, what are the working hours? My session got terminated or what happened? This was interesting, right, guys?
Yes, Rana.
I think your screen got stuck, Surendra. We are on PDF only.
Okay, okay, let me reshare it. You can see my screen now?
Yes.
I'm running this cell. I suppose you can see it.
I think it is in Hungary State. Notebook does not have secret access, what we are able to see.
Okay, that is the other notebook actually. Okay, tell me contact information of Run AI Labs. You can see it, right?
Yes.
This is contact information. What else I was asking it?
We can
But
also query about metadata, Surendra,
yeah, you can.
document. Achha.
Working hours. Working hours of saying not explicitly.
So the role of LLM here is only just providing the information, taking from the vector database and
Exactly.
giving answer only. Yeah.
Surinder, it seems like LLM take the info from vector database, then add up some Mirch masala from their side, huh? From
Exactly.
their database.
So
Then
that, formulating the final answer basically. And
okay.
as per your prompt, if you write something in the prompt, maybe it can also use its own knowledge, which is not there in the vector database. If you want to add something,
Mhm.
then it can also do maybe saying thank you or, writing it in a bullet points or something like that. Okay, so let me show you another thing. Project. So what you guys need to do now is you need to build this onboarding assistant, okay, yourself.
So Surinder, if for example, if we want to create the same like a same application with our organization like HR data or some
Mhm.
KB for the operation team, then Streamlit is okay for the web UI, or we have to use some React and Flex kind of things for front
Well,
end.
I mean, if your organization is very big enough, I think you should have React or something for UI.
For POC level only, actually,
Yeah, I
if we
mean
can
for the
just
I
do
mean
for
for
ourselves
POC
and
it's fine. Yeah, I mean for POC it's fine. Most of the people
uh,
do it.
okay, and what I've seen for Streamlit is 8501 port is default port, correct?
Correct, correct.
And so we can create a one like load balancer and then target to that there. If just utilize over the secure access for Streamlit, correct?
Yes, I think you can do it.
Okay, because I had a discussion with my organization and they were saying do some POC and present,
Yeah.
so
I
we can use
mean,
this. Yeah.
this is the best thing. I mean, because these chatbots are very generic, right? Onboarding chatbot is something which every company will use, right? Irrespective of whether it's an IT company or a manufacturing company or any kind of company. Or, I mean, you can think of a lot of use cases, right? Even if there is some teachers or some students, you want to create a portal for the students where they can search something, right? Right now, what they are doing is they are sending emails, right? These
Mhm.
school teachers. So if you want to create some repository where all the information can be stored, and if parents are looking for admission, they can go to that bot, right? Or HRpedia, HR. If you have any questions for HR, you can create one separate chatbot. If you want to create chatbot for trainings, enrollments, anything, right? Your incidents, for every use case, we have chatbot these days.
Um,
So let me,
so there is a one request to you, Suren. Can you just so one use case with like a AWS Bedrock or your Azure one.
I will do that. I will
How,
do that.
yeah, because we have to use the cloud computing one.
Correct.
Nowadays, from this session, we are doing from ourselves only. But for the organization level, I think we have to use some cloud computing provider.
So I
So it
have
would be
actually
very
access
helpful.
to Azure and GCP, but that is on my office laptop. So that is the problem. I cannot share those accounts. So I need to see
Okay,
what all I can do with the free account, right? So
sure,
basically
sure.
these LLMs and all these services are not actually free.
Mm, yeah, it's very costly. Yeah, I know.
Um,
In case of implementation, don't do. Just show us how we can implement it. Then we can try from our environment. No problem.
yes, yes, yes,
Because it will be very costly. I know.
exactly.
So yeah, you can just share with any use case. So we can use like AWS Bedrock for
Mm-hmm.
the same. Yeah.
Right. So what I have done is you can see my VS Code, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in this VS Code, I have created this onboarding assistant and I have integrated it with Streamlit also. Okay, so this is my virtual environment. Let me see if it is still running. Streamlit run app.py. Why is it taking time, guys? Any idea?
I think it is deploying the application over the behind app server. That's why, or something else. Because for
Okay.
mine, it was very quick
So it is
when just
actually, I think, creating a vector database, right? Vectorizing my input PDF. So, so what you can do is once you create these kind of PDFs, right, you can persist your data also. Whatever vector database is created, if it is in memory, you can store it in a particular location in your laptop. Okay, next time when you run your application, first instead of vectorizing your content again, you should put some code in such a way that first it will check if there is a database file already there at so and so location. If it is there, it will load the vector database from there. Okay, so this is my, I think there is some warning, use column with, okay, some Streamlit warning. So this is my application.
so then where these database file created in your local machine for Chroma DB related files.
Yes, yes, on the local machine. Okay, so if you go to LangChain, there are ways to make it persist. Okay, so it will store your file in the local database. And what you need to do is in your code, you have to write some piece of line which says if the database is already there, you should use that database instead of creating the PDF file and vectorizing it, creating embeddings and storing it again. Okay, so that way it will not create embeddings again and again. So in this one, what I have done is I have put one logo and this is an employee information. Okay. So let me go back to the code. So this is my, where it is, app.py file. Okay. So what I have done is I'm using ChatGrok, loading my environments. These are from prompts. So I have created a prompts in a separate file. This is my prompts file. And I have defined a system prompt, and there is another welcome message. In the system prompt, I'm passing the employee information and retrieve, this is my context, retrieved policy information, and this is employee information, which is, again, I have written some Python code to create some random employee information. Okay. Here's the employee. Okay, so this is employee. Okay, so this is some Faker API, which basically creates some, fake user. Okay. Whenever you start this application, it will create one instance and it will create some data like employee ID, name, blah, blah, blah. So this is for that. You can do it without this also. This is just to, replicate the scenario when once you log in to your official chatbot, it actually knows you are of grade 5D, 4A, you are a developer, or in which practice you are, right? So on the basis of those information, it will give you some answers, right? Some tailored responses. So in order to emulate same, I have created this file, employee file, which will create your, some position like software engineer or operation, some username, first name, last name, and all those things. So that my answer from the LLM will be based on this one. It is tailored by my employee information. And
So
this
in data folder you have put
yes,
input all the PDF.
yes.
More than one PDF or only one PDF?
Just one PDF right now.
Okay.
This PDF I have already shown you the same PDF.
Mm-hmm.
And if you saw that prompt, right? So I'm passing this employee information. So this prompt says you have access to two important data sources: employee information, details about the employee interacting with you. This information I am getting from my Python function, which is generating some arbitrary employee, and company policies are retrieved based on the user's question. So these two informations are passed to the prompt. And then there are some guidelines. What should be the tone? What should be the handling employee queries, handling sensitive information? So all these things you have to do when you build some real life applications in your companies. For clients, you have to be very, very specific about these guidelines. So these guidelines are important in maintaining, just give me a second. Okay, so, and this is welcome message. Okay, so that was, go back to my app. So this is the page configs. Okay, title. This is cache in order to cache the data. The spinner which you were seeing, right, on UI. Once you load it first time, there is a spinner being shown, right? So that spinner get user data, cache resource. So in the Streamlit, we have seen, right, what is cache resource and what is cache data. I think it was your homework. Is it, or I explained? Okay, so there are two type of cachings. One is the cache data and other is the cache resources. So I'm caching these informations, of employee and of the vector database. Okay, this is PyPDF loader, text splitter. This is exactly what we did, but in this particular, I'm using Hugging Face. Okay, instead of Chroma, I'm using Hugging Face. This is my sentence transformer. This exact thing which we have seen in the LangChain documentation as well. So I'm using Faz instead of Chroma. I'm using Faz, and the embedding model is Sentence instead of OpenAI. So all these things, exception handling, chat model, Grok, you can use DeepSeek or something which is there on the Grok platform, system prompt, and then session state, which we have seen, right? If customer not in session state, how to manage the messages, right? It should not lose the conversation. So messages are appended so that all the messages are sent to the LLM in one go. I think we have seen all these things, right? So now we spend so much time on those basics because now I mean, you should be comfortable with all these things, isn't it? So this is assistant.py. So I will share all this code with you. Just play around with it and let me go back to my application. So I will say hi. So now you can see Holly Walker because it created my user as Holly Walker. This is my email, my phone number. I'm a research scientist basically. Holly Walker, I acknowledge your greetings as your onboarding assistant. I'm here to provide you with an necessary information guidance for your role as a research scientist in your IT department. Okay. So now you can see whatever it is showing, this is mainly based on your prompt. You have to do a lot of prompt tuning. So in the prompt, I have said what should be the tone, and on the basis of user's profile, you have to, do the greetings and all. So now my question is, tell me about what I should ask. Expense reimbursement. Tell me about reimburse. Okay, 30 days. All right. So this is a very nice application. You can utilize it. You can, tailor it as per your requirements. You can add a lot of things in the UI, and you can change the knowledge base. You can change the prompt, and you can make it any kind of assistant. Okay, you can show it to your managers in your office. Okay, fair enough, guys. Any question? समझ में आया? Hello.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So this is all I had for today. Okay, so this is what key takeaways: document ingestion, splitting, embedding creation, prompt generation, end-to-end pipeline. This is your assignment. Okay, maybe you can try for the next 2-3 days, and then I will upload the source code on GitHub. So you are using the GitHub or not?
Yeah, we are using.
Okay, pull the data.
Surinder, you can upload that one, what you have just shown us, na? You can upload that code today.
Okay.
So we can just play around it and do some R&D from
I
our end.
think it's already there, but you can check. Someone was asking earlier also, so I put it. Not sure. You can check, okay? I will also check.
Yeah.
Okay, so this I will also put in your chat box, in the WhatsApp chat. Okay. So I think this is very important. Go through the lecture and the concepts. If you have any questions, WhatsApp me. Okay. And in the next session, what we will do is, so right now we are assuming that our PDFs will be very clean. They will only have text, right? But in real, is that the case? No, that is not the case, right? In real life, we have PDFs which are having some formulas, some tables,
Yes.
some diagrams, lot of complexity is there. So if you use PyPDF with the PDF which is having all these things, just try that also, right? Take one PDF which is having tables also, and just see whether PyPDF works or not, whether it is able to pull the relevant information out of those tables or not. Or maybe if you have some diagrams on that, ask questions based on that diagram, whether your application is able to answer or not. Okay. So for that, what we need to do is we need to do something else, which we will see in the next lecture, how to deal with the complex documents, which are having all these things, multimedias. Okay, so we will use unstructured.io. There is one platform, and we will use its library to basically load the data, and we will create captions for the images and things like that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. If you don't have any questions, maybe we can close a bit early today. Okay. You have holidays tomorrow as well, right? Eid is
Yeah.
there. All right then. Enjoy, guys.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks all.